What is up, Ham Radio? Kilo Echo 8, Papa Zulu November, the Ham Radio Adventure Guy. Thanks for stopping by, your one stop for everything Adventure Radio. It is Hump Day. That means it's time for the Hump Day Happy Hour. Got a great show scheduled for tonight. We're going to be talking about activating in Hawaii with Eric. I know he's given a lot of you guys Hawaii, and a lot of you are still hunting him frantically. So I'm really excited about talking about that. Really quick, before we do that, we'll give a shout out to our Patreons. These guys are awesome. Welcome, Steven. You just joined today. They keep me in gas and food and all the good stuff while I'm out and about, because this stuff ain't cheap. Just last weekend, I said I'm never checking gas again, because just last weekend I did one rove and it cost me about $160. So that was just gas. Also, we'll give a shout out to the Adventure Club, current standings. Dan's still with his lead. Bruce and Randall, man, they've had me on edge. They've been $1 apart all week, and then Bruce comes back with a donation today. Bruce and Kent and David Davenport all donating off stream. So thank you very, very much for that. And that's where the standings are not for that right now. All right, we're going to bring out Hayden and our guest and see what's going on. Go ahead and pop out here, Hayden.
What's up, everybody?
What's going on, guys?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. You are living the dream, dude. You're in Hawaii.
Yeah, weather's pretty good.
Yeah, everybody would love to be in Hawaii, but it's probably wore off to you. How long you been there right now so far?
Since July.
Since July. And you're going to be there for how long?
About 3 years.
About 3 years. So guys, you ain't got to be too frantic. He's going to be activating for a while there. So,
I've got time.
Everybody wants Hawaii. Hopefully he don't work everybody, and I can come over there and get some of y'all when I get there. But I'm sure I won't have a problem getting them pile up working over there. Oh. So first, before we get started talking about Hawaii, tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you started in ham radio, Eric.
So I've always been around it. My dad used to do ham radio when I was a kid. He did storm chasing. So, when the bad weather came, he took the car, loaded up with all the antennas, and went looking for bad weather. Didn't really pay much attention to it back then. I just thought it was something that you used to communicate. It wasn't an actual hobby itself. It was something that you did while doing another hobby. But after that, I grew up, went to school, went to college. Afterwards, got out working. Wasn't enjoying it. Joined the Navy, and doing a lot of communications on ships. So we do everything from HF all the way up to EHF into the multi gigahertz, and I like radio now. So I do it, have a bunch of years of experience in the Navy doing it. And now it's just kind of a hobby. I like to do it in my free time.
Awesome. So you actually use radio for your job. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I joined to do IT work for the Navy. It turns out that the Navy IT stuff is both computers, cybersecurity, and communications. So about half the time in the Navy, I've done communications work with satellites and HF and everything. So ship to shore communications, shore to ship, everything from providing Facebook to the people on board to tactical communications, communicating with airplanes, the full spectrum. And then the other half I do, like right now, I'm not on a ship, I'm on shore duty. So I'm working more in the computer network defense world right now. So when I'm at work now, I don't really get to play with any radio gear.
Well, that sucks. You probably got the right equipment. You could zoom in on all the lids that jam me all the time and tell me where they're at.
Yeah, some of our HF radios, they got some power.
Roger that. So when you are working radio at the work, do you ever just get a slip and do a little bit of not activating but hunting or anything?
No. So I started doing Pota after I moved here to Hawaii.
Okay.
So I haven't had a chance to do it at work at all.
Roger that.
When I do get a chance, it's usually like some people will bring some portable equipment and they just reach out saying, "Hey, anyone on the island, can you help us out? We're trying to learn HF." And then I got to train some people on we have like a trailer with a big Yagi antenna on the top. So I got to use that a couple times. So signal gets out pretty good with that.
Nice.
So what got you into Pota?
I was looking for something to do for ham radio. I was looking at Soda, looking at videos of doing that. I like the outdoors, hiking, camping. But the Soda website was kind of confusing for me. And I was trying to figure out, well, what peaks do I go to? How do I score it? And then I found the Pota website and I was like, oh, hey, this is pretty easy. This looks fun. And I don't have to climb a mountain.
Yeah, there's always that climbing a mountain, which that's not the part that prevented me. Like, it's just most of the Sodas are on here in West Virginia anyway. They're on more private land, and it's not the greatest area that you would want to go in. So there's that, and like you said, the web page is a little more confusing. It's harder to log Soda and stuff like that, but I still like to do it when I can.
And here at least on Oahu, the peaks they're very pointy, so they're not very high. They're only a couple hundred meters, but you're going from sea level up to the top, and it's not an easy way up. And a lot of them, because it rains so much in the mountains, it's wet and muddy and it's gross.
So did you start as a hunter, or did you just right off the bat knew you wanted to be an activator, or how did that come apart?
I started hunting a little bit, but running 100 watts, from here in Hawaii, it's hard to get into people that weren't on the West Coast. So I thought, well, I don't have to break a pileup if I'm the pileup. So I just went out to a park and gave it a try.
That's definitely the truth. That you're definitely the pileup when you're doing Pota anywhere, but I would expect on Hawaii it's quite a bit more drastic for sure.
It can be if I'm on the east coast of the island, like when I'm camping at one of the parks there, where I can set up my antenna right, a quarter wavelength from the ocean. Then I can hear massive pileups. But inland, some of the parks, there's a mountain range that it has to go to. So if there is a pileup, I generally don't hear as many people as they're actually trying to reach me. I've tuned into a couple of SDRs on the East Coast just because people are like, oh man, I couldn't break through your pileup. And I saw that posted on Facebook. I'm like, what pileup? There's no pileup.
What pileup?
So I was like, okay, next time I go out, I'm just going to put my phone on an SDR for a couple minutes and see what it's like. And then I was like, oh, okay. I'm only hearing 2-3 people come back to me, but there might be 10 or 15.
The whole country.
Yeah, there's quite. I've been in those pileups before, and there's quite a few people just trying to get you. That's for sure. But me, if I can hear you, I'll call. But if I can't hear you, I'm not going to call, of course. But I feel like
people that do.
I was going to say I feel like some of those people probably do. They probably do, and it's probably aggravating because if you do hear them and you call them back and they can't hear you,
Yeah, I had one person calling me probably for about 4 hours straight.
Oh, wow.
I could hear them just fine, but they couldn't hear me. So after 20 minutes of responding to them, like if I wasn't working someone else, I'd try to respond to them. So after about 20 minutes, I just gave up, and I'm just like, I'm not going to answer that person for the rest of the day.
The rest of the day, I can't blame you.
And then they even do it on FT8, and that's super annoying on FT8 because they'll see another station work me. So then they'll put my call in the DX call window and then generate the standard messages, and they'll start calling me with like a fake signal report. And I'll see their response. And if you have the auto sequence checked, it'll automatically respond to them, and they can't hear me.
Yeah, that's
for KO4 Great American Radio. No, I can get you every time I hear you. You've got a fantastic signal to Hawaii.
So I'm sure you've got a lot of repeat people that get you as well. Who's some stations that just always come in for you good in Hawaii?
KK4 OMJ. He's probably my number one hunter.
That's David from Lexington.
I get him multiple times. If I'm working 3-4 bands in a day, I'll usually get him on all of the bands. And then if I do voice or FT8, I'll get him there. Same with KN6 KI KN6K. I'm dyslexic. Dave in California, I get him quite a bit. And then WD5 Joe in New Mexico, I get him quite a bit.
Okay.
And then for whatever reason, I have great propagation to like the Boise, Idaho area. So I got the Idaho crew, like they're always there.
I'm really shocked that David is your top hunter because David's from Lexington, which is almost to me. David's probably 3.5 hours for me. I used to actually work in Lexington and I lived there for a while, but that's crazy. So Mike wants to know what equipment you're using.
Most of the time lately, I've been using a vertical antenna. So if I'm just going out for a day activation, it's usually a 17-foot chameleon whip. And I'll put that on like a Wolf River spike mount or their tripod. And then I'll pair that with about 40 meters worth of radials. Sometimes it's 8 5-meter radials. Other times it's like 4 or 5 bundles of 4 at 3 meters long. I try to get double whatever band I'm on. I want double that amount of wire on the ground. And then on the camping trips that I do, that's DX Commander all the way.
Nice. Thank you very much for the super chat, Randall, for the super sticker, actually. I appreciate that.
And the pizza earlier.
Yeah. You guys just like making me change that board around. Luckily, I don't live stream till next Wednesday, and it'll change 4 times between them. They keep burning me up, that's for sure. But I appreciate it. It helps me. So yeah, I bet the camping trips you get a lot better with the DX Commander, and plus it's a lot easier to change bands and stuff, huh?
So the DX Commander is basically the same thing as the 17-foot whip. It's a quarter-wave vertical. It's just so much more convenient not having to unplug the coax from the radio, put it up to the antenna analyzer, and then physically adjust the length of the antenna. I just change the band, and I've got a resonant antenna ready to go. Right.
Yeah. That's definitely, and that's what I tell everybody about antennas. It's what is easier for you to accomplish your goal. That's the best antenna for you. Because, if you're camping, setting up the DX Commander, it don't take that long. And if you're going to be there, I would hook that one up every time for sure. Cause it's,
I just got a second one too. So I now have the Rapide. So that should be easier, quicker setup than the 40-meter antenna.
Very nice. Very nice. Great antenna. Oh, what about
radio wise? It's the ICOM 7300. And I push 100 watts all the time.
Nice.
Unless I'm camping. Then because I don't have a place to recharge, I'll try and, if I start getting 5.9s on the East Coast, I dial the power back until I'm 5.5, just so I can save power.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard you 5.5 here, but I'm just happy to be in your log. That's all I know for sure.
Yeah, we tried for quite a bit, couldn't make it happen, and then about 2 hours later, boom, there you are.
But well, a lot of it too is 20 meters for me is dead when you're on, because you're on in a totally different time zone. And it's normally dead, which actually our contact was on 17 meters. But yeah, because like the day that you hunted me, you wasn't in a park, but you hunted me, you were booming in, but it was the middle of the day on 20 meters for me. So I was like, holy crap, he was loud. I was like, I can't believe I just got Hawaii that loud. Like, why was he not in the park? And he's like, I was at work.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird depending on where you are, how high up you are. So I use the verticals for the low takeoff angle. So if I can be up high somewhere, like one of the parks here is up on one of the mountains, and I make easily twice as many contacts when I'm at that park.
Well, that's the same way here. Like, if I'm in any of the valleys, 20 meters, you can forget it. It's not going to work any time of the day. And I've said that and said that and said that, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy." And then Kyle from Missouri actually come out there, and he's like, "Dude, no wonder you're saying 20 meters and where? How in the world do you get out on anything?" But then if you go to the top of the mountains, I can get out anywhere on 20 at the top. So,
see, and the thing that doesn't work here is 40 meters. So during the daytime, if you go to 40 meters, you're not making any contacts unless you're on the inner island frequency that a lot of people monitor.
Okay, so which are you on the Big Island, or which one are you on?
I'm on Oahu.
Okay. How many? Go ahead.
Go ahead. 40 meters here, you can do inner island via NVIS, but until the sun starts setting, you're not even going to make it to California.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, because you're pretty far from everything, other than other Hawaii islands. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, and some of my more frequent hunters, they've kind of figured out my schedule. They're more in tune to my schedule than I am. I'll start on a higher band, or I got maybe a lower band. I'll start on like 10 or 15 meters. And as the sun starts going west, I'll go from 10 to 15 to 17 to 20. And they'll be like, "Oh, hey, I'll see you on 20 meters in about 45 minutes. And I don't look at my watch or anything. It's just when the contacts start going away and I'm not making anymore, I'm like, all right, next band. And yeah, some of the dedicated hunters, they know my schedule more better than I do.
Right. I've got hunters that's like that too, because typically my last activation of the evening, I do a 3-bander. So I'll do 40, then I go to 60, then I go to 80, because that's what's working, that time of the evening. And of course, 60 is easy to find me. There's only so many frequencies I can use. But they all play this game, like, who can find James and call him when he says there's this frequency in use? And it never fails. I don't never call CQ in the evening, because I say, is this frequency in use? And then there's 3 people yelling their call sign out, and then they're all on me. And I'm like, that's just crazy, man. Y'all are nuts.
I've only had that happen one time. I was on 17 meters. I was like, "Hey, is the frequency in use?" And a dude from Alaska is like, "No, man, you're good." And I'm like, all right. So I just said, "Is the frequency in use?" Put out my call sign, and within 3 seconds, he must have just been scrolling by, right, or had that frequency up for a while. He came back to me right away. I was like, "Oh, Alaska, all right."
Nice.
No, typically when there's somebody sitting there waiting, is to tell you, "Yeah, we're using it. We're just on a break."
I've never actually had that happen.
Yeah, I don't guess Hawaii has lids.
No, not really. And the lids that are on the mainland, I can't hear them.
Really, you're great. Maybe I need to go to Hawaii more often.
Might be time to move.
I do have a lot of people tuning up over me, but I don't know if that's lids or if that's people that just don't know proper radio etiquette. Because a lot of times I'll have someone tune up. I'll be like, CQ Park's on the air. And as soon as they're done tuning up, there they are. So I know it. I know sometimes it's them.
I would probably agree with this statement. 7269 probably is my personal frequency, because that's the frequency that I always tend to be on 40 meters. It's easy to find me on 40. Now in the mornings on 40, I'm not up that high. I'm down lower. But if in the evening, I try to tend to be right around there. But and then 60, there's only 2 real frequencies you can use, and 80 just varies, like it, because you're lucky. This is where it comes into play. You don't have these vids. 80 meters over here is just end to end vids, and you got to find the spot in between them where I've got to where when I say this frequency in use and they say yeah, I've started telling them, say, okay, well, I've been listening for like 2 minutes, so either you start calling CQ and actually really be using it, or I'm going to start. And they don't like that very well, but they literally will sit there and they say yeah, and then you could sit there for another 5 minutes and not hear nothing, because they're like sitting there waiting for Jim to get up from his nap so they can talk about.
Yeah, waiting to find out how the prostate exam went.
Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely crazy, and that's not in use for sure. So
yeah, I don't really have that problem. I just have where people can't hear me and they'll just start calling CQ. Like people will be hunting me, and they'll just, hey, CQDX, and a couple of times I didn't realize that a lot of people will have a QSO and they'll actually they'll stay monitoring for a while. The one time I was working a pileup and I was on a camping trip, so I was right on the beach. So I just finished a QSO and someone said CQDX, and about 50 people all at the same time were just like, hey, the frequency's in use. There were so many people that I was like S9 plus 20 on my meter.
But before you answer Mike's question, I want to take a guess at this first. I'm going to say no, Mike, because just because all those people are calling him do not mean that he's got them activating. So go ahead. What Mike's question is, with all the people calling you, do you have your Pota worked off state yet?
I do.
Oh, okay. I was wrong.
I'm missing North Dakota, but I have the wild card for Washington D.C.
I'm surprised because it's hard to get some of the places activating. Like North Dakota is a hard one. Alaska and Hawaii is hard over here on the East Coast.
Alaska's easy for me though.
Now I can get Alaska. Yeah. I can get Alaska good. They hunt me. Like I've got Alaska in the log 20 plus times, but they're never activating. Like I don't ever see them activating.
Right when I started, there was a couple of people up there in I think it was the Chugach National Forest, and they were up like for a week straight every night. So I got them a couple of times.
Okay. And they're up. That's the thing. They're around the same time schedule too, because they're up really.
It's
really
open water between here,
right? But I would have thought that like maybe states like maybe Maine and stuff like that, getting them activated for you would be hard.
Maine was hard.
Rhode Island was one of the last ones. But one day I was just doing FT8 and I saw. I was using the FT8 one where it showed what state they're in. I saw someone called CQ Pota, and I was like, "Oh, mine." I had four people in a pileup for an FT8. And I'm like, "Sorry, boys, you got to wait." So yeah, if you have like one of the different, WSJTX software releases, some of them will tell you what state they're in. So you just look for the CQ Pota. And you can even set like little alerts in WSJTX, and it'd be good.
I'm so horrible about updating stuff like that because I get so used to it, and then I know if I update it, it's going to be something I don't like or something, and I'm like, why did I update this for? And I'm horrible about that stuff. I should do it more, but I know
I actually went back to the original WSJTX. All the features were nice, like grid tracker and all the things, but my little $60 laptop just couldn't handle it. So now I'm back to the original.
Oh.
Okay, you got the one from Micro Center?
Oops, sorry, I think my connection was dropping there. I didn't hear anything.
I said you got the laptop from Micro Center?
Yeah, I got two of those little worst laptop evers, but barely enough to work.
And you have real. I've never had problems on one for FT8. But now,
No, they work great. It's just if you put grid tracker and all the other stuff, it starts to get a little slow.
okay, yeah, I can.
And you'll start. I've noticed like if you're on a WST, the Z version, it's supposed to have better DX decoding. So it's like, oh, I'll try that. But it was taking enough processing power where sometimes it wouldn't decode until I'm already transmitting the next CQ. And then it would decode. And then by that time, I was already transmitting the CQ. So it would just kind of like I need to have it on normal decode without the AP mode on. And then it works fine.
My problem with it is when I run a pile up, I'm a speed demon. I like to bust through a pile up and just keep going and going and going. Like I'll knock out contacts like crazy, and it can't keep up with me typing. Like, and I'm not a fast typer, but the rate of contacts that I get, like if I'm doing right before the new day switch, I can have like a 50 contact 5-minute period. It's real easy, and it can't keep up. Like it slows down really bad. So that's the problem I found with it.
Yeah, and you have to really type hard on the keys. They're mushy, and they don't actually pick up the key press till it's all the way down.
So how many parks have you done in Hawaii so far?
The embarrassing thing is I've only gone to 8 different parks.
Okay.
So I have a goal right now. I want to get 50 activations with 5,000 contacts. And I wanted 3 kilos in that process. I've already got 3, so I'm trying to get a 4th one. So on the last park for that, I have 250 or so contacts left in that park, and I need about 350 to break 5K.
Okay.
So I haven't gone to too many other parks because I kind of want to like once I hit that 100 QSO average, so 50 activations with 5,000 contacts, then it's like, okay, I can go do a 20 QSO park because it's an out of the way place. Like some of the parks they don't seem very conducive to having a big setup. So I kind of want to knock out as many of the goals as I have before spreading out and getting other parks.
I got you. So you're going to be there for 3 years. Do you plan on trying to go for Work to Hawaii or?
As it is right now, there needs to be some updates to the maps. I need to go and submit some requests for that because some of them are impossible.
Okay.
So like the Pearl Harbor, or not Pearl Harbor, Valor in the Pacific is still an active park on the website, but you can't activate it because it doesn't exist anymore.
No.
So Valor in the Pacific is one of the parks. It was 3 separate parks with one park name.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's actually just the Pearl Harbor National Memorial, and it's a different park in the system. So you can't actually activate Valor in the Pacific. And then there's 2 other ones. One is a wildlife refuge that you can't physically get into. And then another one, they haven't finished building it yet.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely gotta be able to activate them to do it, and so that.
And there are a couple. Like one of them, I think, is like a cemetery. So to activate, I don't think anyone's done that one yet. So I'm just probably going to find someone with a buddy that wants to go out, and we'll just do it with a couple HTs. We'll do 2 meter, 70 centimeter analog, and then we'll do a DMR without a repeater, and then hook up the radios to the phone and do like SSTV and maybe PSK 31 over 2 meters to get the 10th contact.
It's weird for me doing cemeteries. I just recently done one, and it was a historic cemetery, and I don't know, it just seems weird. I'm like, there wasn't even nobody. I didn't even see nobody that day, but I'm like, people are going to wonder what the crap I'm doing in a cemetery with a giant fishing pole on the back of my vehicle, because that's what everybody thinks it is. What kind of fishing pole is that? But
So in here, the one that I was looking at is, I think it's just a cemetery for royalty. So it's the Hawaiian royalty is all buried there. So might get a couple weird looks if I put up a DX commander there.
yeah, I would definitely say I would use some sort of car antenna for a cemetery. I
And
felt
that's just not going to work here, though.
true.
Yeah.
That.
My car is not too conductive to putting antennas on it, but then even if I do, you got to be really careful with antennas out here. So like even ham sticks you're probably not going to make a lot of contacts with a ham stick.
All right. So is Hawaii the only place you've ever activated, or did you activate where you were before?
Nope, Hawaii is the only one.
Okay.
But in about a month or maybe 2-3 weeks, I'll have another state, so that'll be good.
Okay. Where are you going to?
I'm gonna go visit my family in Wisconsin.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
So I'll be rocking the KH6 call in the Midwest for that extra 3 dB.
I'll have some definite questions for that. What the different types, because it'll be way different for you activating there. Like Wisconsin, you'll be able to kill it on 40 meters for sure.
Well, the only problem is I don't have any. I have a G90 that I bought on Prime Day, and I shipped it to Wisconsin, but I don't even have an antenna yet. So I don't want to fly with all my I don't want to fly with all my stuff. So I just sent a G90 there, and I got to figure out what antenna I'm going to use.
Right. So you're running a G90, you'll be running QRP. I'm sure we could get you an antenna there.
Yeah, I was thinking about just using like a ham stick or something like that.
Take some speaker wire, make a resonant dipole.
Yeah,
I could do that.
Old school.
Well, I do have a 20 meter dipole from N9. I can't remember his call sign, but he sells them on Tim Ortiz on eBay. So I do have a 20 meter dipole that's rated for 20 watts. So I could bring that.
There you go.
So just if you want to off chat, send me the address that you'll be at in Wisconsin, and PP Man's going to send you one of the King Oreo cookie antennas. It's good for 20 watts.
Oh, awesome!
So just send it to me, and I'll get it to him. They're great.
Perfect.
They're great antennas too. I use my first one. It was my original call sign, but now we've upgraded. We put the King's Crown on it. Gives you extra dB.
Oh, if you want extra dB, you need a KH6. I was using the 9 call for the first couple of months, and it worked pretty good. But this last weekend was my first weekend out with the KH6, and if you're doing FT8 with a KH6, just stand by. Like, I would have 10, 15 stations in Japan. I called CQ once in an hour and a half.
Nice.
Do you do any CW?
Not yet. I'm learning.
Okay.
I have one of the CW Morse keys, but it's slow going. So like right now, I could do like a QSO with someone if I practice their call sign enough so I could listen to it.
So look like that?
Yep. Got that same exact one.
It's actually a nice key. I like it.
I tried. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just learning myself, but it's gonna be a lot more activating next year. I plan on some CW stuff.
I tried one QSO. It was someone who reached out to me, and we were trying for over an hour via voice FT8, just different modes, different settings, messing with filters. So he's up in Nova Scotia, and he's like, "Hey, can you do CW?" And I'm like, "I can probably do it enough for one QSO." So I wrote down the dits and the das on a piece of paper, so I could do it nice and slow. But we still couldn't.
A Hawaii contact is a Hawaii contact is what these hunters are thinking.
Yep. And it's, hey, if this guy's willing to spend an hour to try and, because we were going through and adjusting, like we went to clear frequencies for FT8. That way, like it only was trying to decode one signal. AP mode is fantastic for that. So if people are out there trying to use like doing DX, AP mode is amazing. Yeah, we were trying to like mess with filter settings and all this different stuff. And I could hear him on CW and he could hear me on FT8, but we couldn't get the other halves to work.
Yeah, it's the same with me and you. We tried FT8. We tried a lot of different ways before finally got that contact. Mm-hmm. And my friend Joseph from California, and you're probably recognize his call sign because he has you quite a bit, is Whiskey 6 VIP.
Yeah.
He always would get in my Patreon after chat and he'd just give me crap. He's like, "Oh, I get him all the time." I'm like, "Shut up." I don't even care.
I've actually started working on different like stats and analytics and stuff to try and find out where my all my frequents are. So like I've built a heat map of my first 4,600 contacts and actually show it to you too.
Okay.
So that's literally every contact.
Oh, wow.
So one contact would be yellow, and then as it fades into red, it's where more contacts are made.
I might have to go down south a little bit.
Might have to go down south, he said.
It looks like Virginia's pretty good. Maryland don't look too well for me.
Virginia's not as good as North Carolina. North Carolina, I can get. I'm into North Carolina and South Carolina pretty good.
I hear a lot of people from
Florida's
Georgia.
Good.
I hear a lot of people from Georgia saying they get you too. So.
Mm-hmm. And then 10 meters, I get Florida all the time on 10 meters.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Maybe I'll try you on 10 meters in February. I'll be in Florida for the month of February.
Okay.
Oh, which in Florida 40 don't hardly work. Just same deal you have. I mean, it does work there, but for some reason I'm a 40 meter person and it just don't seem to work like it does here. All my big 40 meter people, they hate when I go to Florida because I stay on 20 and 17 the whole time. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to ask you what problems that were different between states, but you haven't done none. So tell us some of the problems you've ran into over there, and then we can determine whether it'll be different or not for us.
Batteries, huge problem. You can't buy a battery on the internet and have it shipped here. They won't ship them.
Wow.
I'll send you an address.
So I found a company locally, but they're a little more. They're a lot more expensive than if you were to buy them anywhere else because they have the market cornered. Mm-hmm. But I found a couple of websites. I was able to order one. I'm not going to say their company name just in case. If you need a battery and you're having trouble getting it shipped, just reach out to me. I'll give you the company.
We can talk about that in the after chat.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got a place that'll send one if you as well. So
and then I actually found another ham out here in Hawaii. He gave me a link to a 100 amp hour pack that he got on Amazon, and that company shipped it to me. No labels, no lithium battery warnings. It showed up at my doorstep 2 days later. The shipping was $100, but so I now have a 100 amp hour pack.
Okay. Yeah, I because I can't bring it on the plane, but I'm having a 30 sent there when I come. Matter of fact, I'll probably be messaging you like, hey, can I use your address to send this battery to?
Sure. Otherwise, if you're coming to Oahu, you can use some of my batteries.
There we go.
So I have a 100 amp hour and I have two 23 amp hour batteries. So I'm pretty well stocked right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what some people do is they'll bring two 12 amp hour and they'll run them in parallel.
Okay.
So they will let you bring two 12s on a plane?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know what the rules are between the airlines and the TSA, but I know a couple of people who have come here with two 12 amp hour bio NOs.
Okay. Fair enough. I still plan, well, if you have batteries and I'm going to be near you, I'll have to see exactly where I'm going, but if I'm going to be near you, I'll just do that. But if not, I'll ship a 30 there because I plan on doing it.
You just need to make sure you bring a charger. So I charge everything at the lowest possible, the lowest possible rating I can, just to prolong the battery health. So I typically charge at 3 amps an hour even on the 100 amp hour pack.
Oh, wow.
So
But
if you've got like a 10 amp hour charger, you'll want to bring that.
How long does that take you?
It took 3 days the first time.
Yeah. Which that's the one thing I love about BioLiner. You can just charge them to death. I've yet to kill one.
The 3 days was because I won't leave it charging if I'm not nearby.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple of lithium battery fires in my life. So,
okay.
I used to be big into like drone racing, and they use LiPo instead of the LifePo, and those are more prone to damage because they're not well protected.
Okay.
So if you crash while flying and you crash into the battery, you stand a chance of destroying the battery. So I've had a couple of fires, and they're difficult to put out.
Yeah. I've never had a fire. I did plug one into something one time, and what I plugged it into had really thin wires, and smoke started rolling immediately. And I went to grab it and unplug it, and it burnt the crap out of me. Let me tell you. And it scared me because it was a battery like that, and I stuck it in a like an aluminum trash can and took it outside, and just like 3 hours later, it was still in that trash can smoking.
Yeah. So one thing that a lot of people, I don't know if they still do it anymore, but the people that I used to fly drones with, we would charge on like a cinder block, and then we'd put a cinder block on either side with some styrofoam on top and a bucket of sand upside down. So if the battery catches on fire, it melts through the styrofoam really fast, and then it just drops the sand onto the battery.
That's cool.
Then other people just charged on their grill, and that worked too.
Sounds like a dangerous battery to play with.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and so the batteries only last for 4 minutes. So when you charge them back up, you want to put as much power as fast as you can in.
Okay.
Because you're going to the field and you've got $200 worth of battery packs that only last 5 minutes apiece.
That sounds like an expensive hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, so it's $200 for all of your batteries, not for one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. But you might go to the field with 10 or 15 batteries. If you only go with 5 batteries, you've only got 25 minutes of flying time.
Fair enough. Now, did you have to have a pilot's license for it, or?
So I did it mainly when I was over in Europe, and I was in Italy, and they didn't seem to mind.
Okay.
Since I moved back to the States, I tried it a little bit when I got to California, right as it was putting the licensing into effect. But the FAA wasn't my concern. It was just all the Karens thinking that you're spying on them.
Yeah. Well, my daughter's husband was flying his one night, and a guy literally pulled out a shotgun and was shooting at it. and we had to call the sheriff on him because he was visually. I mean, in a neighborhood, and this dude starts blasting a shotgun up in the air at this thing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. People will carry a spy device in their pocket all day long, but if they hear the buzzing of a drone, someone's got to be spying on me.
Yeah, and people don't they think their cell phones are fine, but man, you're right. Whatever I talk about tonight, tomorrow I have ads on my social media sites and everything for. So it's crazy how bad that thing is. All right, thank you very much, Eddie, for the Drone Patrol super chat. And I sent a question there. I thought I did.
Now, Brian was saying that the guy with the shotgun must have been a moonshiner.
I am from West Virginia. You never know why he was shooting, but needless to say, he wouldn't answer his door when the sheriff showed up.
It's not a wise thing to do to just start shooting a gun into the air in a city.
Well, I mean, we wasn't in a city; we was in a suburb. But I mean, there was houses all the way around everywhere. I mean, I know there was buckshot coming down on people's houses, and you know that you never know. I mean, there was like 6 kids in the backyard when we were flying it. So luckily nothing fell down on one of those kids, or else they'd have been calling the sheriff on us. But yeah, you just can't do stuff like that. For sure.
And thankfully, at least with ham radios, is I have not had one single bad interaction yet. So that's I've been pretty fortunate that way.
Hold my beer.
Most people think I'm listening to whales.
Listening to whales.
Oh,
I love
okay.
it. That is the next time somebody asks me what I'm doing, that is exactly I'm listening to whales.
Listening to the humpbacks.
I've said some really weird things, you know. Of course, I've said I'm talking to aliens, and then I always explain to them after I get the weird look. But also, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Mothman, but it's like an urban legend or whatever. That's where the Mothman was from. Literally, when I'm activating that park, I tell them I'm trying to contact the Mothman every time. Every time. What are you doing? I'm like, you guys see all kinds of weird people come through this town. They have a Mothman festival, and like literally people's going through the whole town wearing wings and masks and all kinds of stuff. But you want to ask me what I'm doing sitting here with an antenna? I'm talking to the Mothman. That's exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, that's a good one. Talking to whales. My favorite one.
Being right by the water, a lot of times they think I'm doing something with the ocean.
Well, you use a vertical too, so.
And then the weird thing is I've had a couple of people like, you come all the way Hawaii and you're playing with a radio instead of like, and I'm like, I live here.
I live here.
Yeah, because like one of the parks that I like is up on the mountain and it's an overlook and you can see Diamond Head in the city. So there's a lot of tourists that go up there. And I guess they just assume I'm also a tourist. I'm like, why aren't you watching the sunset? I'm like, I'm making contacts into South Carolina. Leave me alone.
Exactly. Yes.
No, I don't tell them to leave me alone, but
yes, Terry, the Mon Man is the Mothman's brother. But that's a legend for another day.
And then I don't know if it happens by you, but if I set up a vertical antenna, people will literally walk right through my field of radials that are bright red, and they will almost run into the antenna and then look at it like, well, who put this here?
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky when it comes to that. Now, I did have a deer run through and catch my coax and about yank my whole. Luckily, I use a quick disconnect on the back of my radio for my coax, so I can just slide it on and off. Because if not, I'd have had some damage. Because I literally had to grab the radio because it was going, and the deer totally destroyed the coax. But luckily, I'm good with people so far. But I have had, and I'm nowhere near water. I've had somebody stop and say, "What kind of fishing pole you got?" And I'm like, I'm in the middle of the woods. What? There's no water near it. Why would I have a fishing pole out? And then I had another woman. Aren't you worried about hitting power lines driving down the road? I got a 33-foot vertical running off my car. I don't have that up when I'm driving down the road, but thank you for your concern.
Inquiring minds are dying to know.
See, I haven't had many wildlife encounters. There's chickens all over the island, but they just kind of walk around and be chickens. And then the other thing is this one park that I went to a couple times. There's little mongoose or mongoose, the little ground animals that look like chipmunks, but they're mongooses. They go everywhere and they're just running around like playing. And I definitely do not break the rules and throw food at them.
Bruce says you need to use police restriction tape.
So I don't have the picture on like a slide, but I used yellow marking tape around the DX Commander when I went camping. So I brought 4 of the electric fence posts because they're all plastic, and I made like a little fence around the DX Commander.
Okay,
that's probably a good idea.
If I'm just out in a park, there's usually no one around except for that one person that will walk through. There's like no one for a quarter mile, and they'll walk right straight into the antenna.
Yeah. Right through where you've been. Now, I have had people who, like, I'll be out, they'll be like, what are you doing today? I'm like, I'm going to parks to activate. And they're like, oh, I want to go. I want to go to the park. And, they'll go to the park and they'll do their own thing. And they'll come walking by. And they always seem to trip over my coax. I don't know what it is. I'm like, how do you not see this big core? It's not tiny.
Thankfully, I've never had that happen. So that's good.
It's a Karen magnet. Yes, I agree. Oh.
For me, it's not the Karens. It's the guy with like his I'm going to the beach wearing like old torn up like the surfer bro look, but it's the guy with the expensive surfer bro clothes. With the Gucci flip flops.
Yeah. That's what you need to tell people like that. Like, what are you doing, man? You'd be like, I'm checking the waves for tomorrow. Dude. I've
had bad experience in the water, so I got to stay out for a while. I Pota till it hurt one time too soon. Not too long ago.
I seen a picture with your foot. What'd you do? Tell us that story.
So I just got done camping. Made like 600 or 700 contacts, packed up all my gear, and I was like super hot and sweaty. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go take a quick dip into the water, cool off, and then head on out. All my gear was all put away. I go in there, the waves were nice and calm, and then I turned my back, and here comes like a 5-foot wave. It picks me up because I didn't want to like have it hit me in the face, so I just kind of rode up with it. And then right on the backside of the wave, it slammed me down. And I landed on the side of my foot and broke it.
This is going to be a random weird question. Do you know any Hawaiian words that start with Z?
I don't think that there's any because I think the Hawaiian alphabet only has 11 letters, and I don't think Z is one of them.
Really?
I'm not really a Hawaiian expert though.
Okay, well, we'll just make it up. Aloha.
Okay, yeah. So it's AEIOUHKLMNP and W are the only letters.
Okay, so aloha 0 zip line. Please copy. We are not starting over. Watch it on replay.
No, I had one QSO with him, and I forgot to say please copy.
Oh, that would have been epic. Here he is, all excited about getting Hawaii, and you'd be like, "Please copy."
Yeah, and I was on when I got him, I was on 10 watts QRP.
Nice. Yeah, I try to say his call sign differently every time he calls me, and I always add "please copy." The other
Please
day,
copy 5-9.
the other day I was in a big, huge pileup too, and he got me, and I don't even know what happened. I just went off and did some crazy skit that took like 45 seconds to do the whole. Me talking to him, and then I got done, and it took him like 15 seconds. Like, you're 5'9", James, and he's just laughing. I don't even remember what I said, but it was pretty good. All right, so mongooses, chickens. I would not expect when I think of Hawaii. I'm not expecting chickens to be running around in parks. That's Kentucky.
They're everywhere. There's like chickens running around my house.
That's like Kentucky to me. That's like
on the outside, not the inside. So no, everyone likes the chickens here because they eat all the bugs, and there are a lot of bugs here.
Okay. So you don't need bug spray. You just need to wrangle up some chickens with your antenna wire and keep them around you, right?
Well, it's the crawly bugs that they eat. So there are a lot of roaches in Hawaii, a lot. And then because there's a lot of roaches, they're like 6-inch long centipedes will go there as well. But if you have chickens around, the roaches and the centipedes aren't as big of a problem.
We're hearing about the side of Hawaii you do not see on vacation.
I would have never guessed chickens.
So if I go outside in any like grassy area at night and you shine a bright flashlight, you'll just see hundreds of roaches just like walking around. It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
That's extremely gross. Hawaii is now known as the projects now. I don't know what's going on here. Mongoose, roaches, chickens, centipedes.
Yeah, the mongoose are friendly though.
The mongoose. I thought mongooses were mean.
The ones at the park that I've seen them at, they were super friendly. Like they were just like playing with each other, and all around like all the parks I go to, there's usually people that will go feed the animals. So this one park, Sand Island State Recreation Area, there's just a whole colony of cats. And every day people go out there and they bring them cat food and all this stuff. So they feed all the feral cats and everything.
So there's no Chinese restaurants over there.
I'm not sure.
Obviously not, because there wouldn't be that many cats.
I only partake in the finest of Hawaiian cuisine. Usually on the way back from an activation, I go to Taco Bell.
Taco. So for real though, what's the Hawaiian food? What is the weird delicacy that you don't get anywhere else?
Okay, so the breakfast. I'm not like a super Hawaiian expert on anything, but I like the breakfast food the best. So you get eggs, rice, Portuguese sausage, and Spam, and it's amazing. Loco Moco is really good too.
What's that?
It's like Salisbury steak. So it's like a beef patty with gravy, and then you eat that over rice with egg.
Okay.
And they'll crack the egg into it, so it's amazing. And then the real treat is if I'm activating near one of the places that has it, you go get Dole Whip. That is, if you have a good activation, you've earned a Dole Whip.
Okay, well, go ahead. Tell us what it is.
So it's like soft serve ice cream, except for there's no dairy, and there's like real pineapple in it. It tastes like a pineapple bowl of love.
A pineapple bowl of love. All right, pineapple bowls of love. Mongoose road.
It's kind of like soft serve ice cream, but there's no dairy in it.
All right, so your best experience activating at Hawaii. We're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon.
Best experience. It's probably not even operating the radio. It's when I come back, and I'll check my mailbox, and I'll have a stack of QSL cards. I initially thought QSL cards were lame, like before I'd got any. But then the first time I had like a big activation, and one day I go check my mailbox and there was like 5 QSL cards, and I was like, oh, people sent me mail. Like, this is awesome. And they put like little notes like, hey, I've been trying to get Hawaii for 3 years. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I've had an impact to the point where they went out and wrote me a note and sent it to me via the mail.
There's nothing like those handwritten notes. I get them a lot of time because I'm big about talking to the youths and stuff and sending them stuff. But there's nothing like those.
These are just the recent ones of like people sending to me. So I'm having a hard time keeping up with them.
Yeah, I got 2 DX engineering boxes full. That's my backlog. I refuse to send more than a book of stamps a week out in cards. So I'm very
I have
much
a system
backlogged.
for sending them back. I finally broke down and ordered cards. So now I have some to send out. And all the people who sent me a self-addressed envelope with a stamp on it, they get theirs first.
Nice.
So I'm the same. If you send that, you go to the top of the stack and you'll go out the same week. But now that I know you got a card, I'm going to send you one with a stamped envelope.
Was that QSO with my new call sign or the old one?
The old one.
Okay, I have cards for that actually. Right here.
Nice.
So I'll add you to the top of the list.
There we go. We're actually going to start wrapping this up because it is the top of the hour, and when I go over to Patreon chat, we all know they're going to keep me there all night. Kyle, I raced BMX for a long time. I do know what a Mongoose bike is. One of their pros, Brian Vopes, he used to be a really good friend of mine. And Shaq and Greg, I'm sorry you could only afford a Huffy, but you're Shaq and Greg, you know. All right, you got anything cool coming up, Eric, before we wrap this up?
I think this weekend I'm gonna try breaking that 5,000 QSO barrier, and then it's Black Friday sales. I got a new radio that's just over there off screen. I got that showed up today. The second DX Commander showed up yesterday, and then the Flex radio gets here on Friday. So it's a lot of radio projects coming up.
Nice. Very, very, very nice. All right, Hayden, you got anything?
Yeah, I'll go out Sunday, and that looks like the only day I have free. I'll be out in the home park working on the kilo.
Roger that. All right, for myself, I actually got to tabulate all my stats for the month and get ready for my monthly update video because the month is officially over because it's after UTC Day. And I'll be out activating in the morning. And other than that, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for everybody who donated. Patreons will be over in the after chat in just a couple of minutes. And Eric, you are welcome to come over to that. We can get you access into that as well. Just hang out right here, and we'll tell you about it as we end it. 73, everybody, and thanks for stopping by.
73.